welcome to my Void Linux install guide. I'll be going over the install process of the minimal version, but I think it's this almost the same installer as the versions with a desktop environment. Yes, the thing that you're gonna want to do is go over to voidlinux.org and just click on download. I'm gonna use the base version, but if you want a desktop environment pre-installed, then you're just gonna select the desktop environment that you want. I'm gonna use glibc because I'm familiar with it and it works for me. You're gonna let it download and I'll come back. When your download has finished, what you wanna do is I'm just gonna move it over to the desktop. If you're installing this on real hardware, then you're gonna wanna use a some software like Rufus or Balena Etcher. I'm gonna just quickly go over how you flash something with Rufus. It's pretty simple to use it. Just select the ISO that you want, that we downloaded with Void Linux Live. I'm gonna insert and I'm gonna just plug it into my USB port. I have Ubuntu on it right now, but I'm gonna flash Void. Everything is the default settings is just pretty good. So I'm just gonna press on start. I'm gonna run in ISO mode, ISO, and it's gonna warn me that all data on this device will be destroyed and formatted. I'm gonna press OK, and it's just gonna flash Void Linux onto it. If then you're gonna plug it in into the computer that you want to install Void Linux on and set it as your default boot device. I don't know what you call it, but what you boot off of is there is surely guides online. I'm gonna make this tutorial in VirtualBox because I don't have any real hardware to use. I'm gonna click on new, name, void, Linux. I'm gonna click, ah, that's good. I'm, I'm gonna change the path to the S drive. I'm gonna give it 4 gigabytes of RAM. I'm gonna create a hard disk now, and VDI is fine. Dynamically allocated. This means that if you're filling up the hard drive, it's just dynamically getting larger as you're using it more. Fixed size, then it's just a fixed size, and it doesn't uh, expand. It's always that size. Dy Dynamically allocator is also a little bit slower. I personally don't feel a difference, but it's supposed to be slower. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna press next. How large is it? We're gonna give it 20 gigabytes. That's pretty much what you want. like that. Oh, I think I've installed other Linux 64-bit is better, I think, for this at least. Then we're gonna start it. We're gonna select our startup disk, which is the ISO that we downloaded earlier. Let's choose that ISO. And we're gonna start the virtual machine. Yeah, it's gonna automatically boot, but I just pressed enter. So now we're here, booted into Void Linux. The Void Linux login is root, then Void Linux. I'm gonna put it on the screen. Here we are in the Void installer. We're not in the Void installer, but we're gonna type Void installer. Boom. Welcome to the Void Linux installation, a simple and minimal Linux distribution made from scratch and from built from the source package tree available for XBPS, a new alternative binary package system. We're gonna press enter and confirm. We're gonna set the keyboard. I have a Swedish keyboard, so I'm gonna use FIR. I'm gonna huh. This seems to be the correct one. I'm not sure. The network, we're gonna use this one if it's detected. If you're doing this on a laptop, I'd recommend it to plug in a Ethernet cable because it's tricky with uh, this uh, Wi-Fi things in laptops. Okay, use DHCP. Yes, we're gonna use DHCP. Network is working properly. This is good. Boom, source. We're gonna use local installation. Hostname. I'm gonna use voidbox. Locale. I'm gonna use uh, S Swedish. Swedish. There. Here. Time zone. Europe. Sweden. Stockholm. That works. Root password. Super secure password. And your user account. I'm gonna use system and system 32. Put in your password. Put in your password again. Boom. We're gonna want this user to be in the wheel group, so we can use sudo. We're gonna want it to be in the video group, so we can use GUIs and stuff like that. That's good. Bootloader on dev SDA, use GraphES. Partition, dev SDA, 20 gigabytes. We're gonna use CF disk for now. Yes, DOS partition, new, gonna use 20 gigabytes. Primary, right, yes. We're speed running this now. We'll write this, yes, we have. We're gonna just quit, Boom, file systems, DevSJ1, the ext4. I recommend that because it's good. We're gonna use the mount point root. Do you want to create a new file system on DevSJ1? Yes, we want that. We're gonna press on done. Uh, oh, okay, you need to go down one step for this. Install. Warning, data on partition will be completely destroyed for new file system. Do you want to continue? I want to continue, so I choose yes. Counting files, and then it's just gonna install this. I'll be back when it's done. And now it has been successfully installed. I want to reboot the system. Yes. Boom. It's now gonna just reboot. Gonna boot first. Void GNU/Linux loading initial RAM disk. That's good. We're gonna just use our user that we set up earlier. And just gonna log in. Boom. Now we have a functioning Void Linux install. We can use sudo xbps dash install pfetch. I've accidentally turned on Swedish. I'm gonna change that for the next tutorial where I install awesome window manager. Is it not in the official? Maybe we just need to in okay. Dash u xbps and update. It will take 2000 kilobytes. Then we're gonna just update the repositories. It will take a little while. It's not that big of a repository. It's not the biggest in the world. I'll be back when it's done. And boom, now the repository pool is updated. We can just sudo xbps install pfetch now. And we're gonna say yes to that. And now we can just clear this screen and type pfetch. And we can see that we're on Void Linux. The host is VirtualBox 1.2. The uptime is 5 minutes, 150 packages. And yeah, the top is run it. This is basically how you get a base install of Void Linux. In the next video, as I said, I will be teaching you how to install the awesome window manager on Void Linux. Stick around for that, and goodbye.